Hey, it's Scott Toy Guru Neitlich here. Welcome to another Spector Creative video. I've been a professional toy maker for the last 25 years at a variety of companies, and pretty much almost all the toys I've worked on are boys' toys. Hey, if you haven't noticed from this picture and the sound of my voice, I'm a boy, or, well, a man. I don't know, maybe my wife would differentiate based on how many toys I own, but that's actually the point. Most of the toys I own are boy toys, action figures, vehicles, that type of thing. But there is one toy I have that is clearly a doll, and clearly a girl's toy. And there it is, right there on top of my shelf. If you can't pick it out, well, zooming in, it's none other than Gem. Totally outrageous. Yes, I've been a fan of Gem pretty much since she came out in the 80s. I used to watch the show. I never had the toys as a kid, or rather the dolls, but my sister sure did. And not saying that I stole them and played with them all the time as I did her She-Ra action figure, or doll, but I really liked the concept. And I get as a toy maker why girls do. And I really appreciate Gem from a toy making perspective. And let me kind of explain why, because Gem is a very, very unique toy and extremely underrated, especially when it comes to play patterns and the way girls and boys play different, and especially the way girls play. Now, for those of you who don't know much about the history, I'm not going to go into the fully here, but essentially Gem was created by Hasbro, or specifically Bill Sanders and Joe Hayland and his wife Barbara Hayland, who wanted to create a doll line that could compete in that share of the toy market for Hasbro. Hasbro didn't do too many dolls. They were more into games and puzzles, and they had a few action figure lines, and it was a great way to enter that category and another aisle. And along with doing a doll line on shelf, there was also an animated series that they produced and put quite a lot of money into it. And it was a big hit, it really was. Although it did get squashed pretty quickly because of competition, when it did hit, it was really cool. They even had their own set of bad guys, the Misfits, who would, battle Gem and the Holograms for domination over the music industry, for lack of a better word. Well, while the Misfits were Gem's archenemy, the bigger enemy was Barbie and the Rockers. You see, when Mattel got word that Gem was coming out, well, Mattel was the doll maker of the day, and kind of still is. It's a category they really own. And, well, toy lines and toy categories are very much
territoriality. He was mine first.
Oh, that was so.
And yeah, Barbie is treated very much like a queen, and kind of almost actually like a real person by the teams at Mattel. And the idea that another toy maker, a competitor, was going to come along and make a doll line that would challenge Barbie in the aisles and for sales was something that Mattel executives at the time wanted to put a stop to. So they came out with a competing doll line called Barbie and the Rockers and rushed it to market with a doll line and animation as well. It wasn't just that they were putting this out there to reinvigorate Barbie and somehow, make her new, because, hey, now she had a cassette. It was directly to squash Gem. And the idea was they could look at their tooling bank and basically smash it open. Because Mattel was such a large company, had done so many toys over the years, they scoured what they already owned as a tooling perspective, some guitars, some musical instruments, and basically rushed it to market as quick as possible and beat Gem by 6 months. Hey, this is why corporate, secrets sometimes need to remain secret. As soon as they found out Gem was in development, Barbie rushed Barbie and the Rockers and beat Gem to market. So Gem was seen as a copycat of Barbie and the Rockers versus the other way around. Gem was designed first, but took longer to get to market. Hey, it happens. So, while Gem was quite breathtaking, as quite breakthrough, she had quite a journey. She actually started off not as Gem, but as M. That was going to be her original name. But Hasbro basically found out that you can't copyright the letter M. It's not copyrightable. But because they'd already written the theme song for what became Gem, they had to come up with something that was going to be easily swappable into the song's lyrics that would basically sound like M. So hence Gem, or M, became Gem, and that's where her name came from. And she gained her supporting cast in terms of the rockers, and originally her earrings and different elements of her belt all had the symbol M on them, but it was changed to a lightning bolt. The only place that it didn't get changed was on Kimber's guitar. You'll still see there's an M that's hanging off the end, left over from the original name of the toy line, which was just going to be M. So, yes, M became Gem, and that's your toy history. But let's actually talk more about why Gem is such an innovative toy line. And it's not just because it was Hasbro making a doll, which they hadn't done before, or making an animated series, which they'd done many, G.I. Joe being a good example, Transformers. Gem did something as far as play patterns that was different from every other doll that's ever been out there. And there's obviously been a lot of dolls over the years, from ancient times. There were dolls made of, rags and clothing to modern plastic dolls with rooted hair. Sometimes they're from different IP and a way of making an IP work in a different demographic or for a different gender. Well, Gem wasn't just totally outrageous. She was totally different. And that was because, unlike every other doll line out there, Gem had her own play pattern. And that's what's really important. And to understand that, you also have to go back and look at the way, from a psychological, chemical, and biological way, boys and girls play differently. Boys play very aggressively. Girls play much more, shall we say, nicely. They like to dress up, they like to have tea time, and hey, they like to shop. Anyone who is a girl, has dated a girl, is married to a girl, has had a female in their life, know that women, for the most part, not all, but yes, they love to shop. And they usually have a closet full of clothing, way more clothing than their male counterparts. If you walk into any married couple's closet, take mine for example, you will see that my wife has about 75% of the closet. And getting men to shop or change clothes or even wash their clothes is kind of like medieval torture. Men are just not into clothes.
I have more than 2 grades of laundry, okay? There's not just clean and dirty. There are many subtle levels, okay?
Alright, so why am I talking about clothes and all of this? Well, let's go back to Gem and what made her a different doll from anything else. Obviously she's posable, obviously she's got hair that you can comb, which goes into what's called hair play. There is a little bit of nurturing play, but that's usually more with baby dolls, where you want to pretend you're the mother or, of the doll.
Showtime synergy.
Yep, Gem could instantly change her clothes. Let that sink in for a minute. It doesn't seem like a huge deal, but it's all about Form A to Form B, or to Form C. You see, for children, the ability to instantly change, to go from one form to another, is one of the most aspirational concepts. And usually this is a concept that shows up in boys' toys and boys' IP. Captain Marvel, Shazam, I don't want to call him Captain Marvel, but he says Shazam. Billy Batson says Shazam. Or He-Man is a great example. Prince Adam to He-Man. When you go from one form to another, and it's usually in boys' IP a stronger form, like a weak form to a strong form, and you do that instantly, through an instant transformation, through magic or whatever it is, that is very aspirational. Well, what could Gem do that no other doll line could do? She could instantly have an entire closet full of clothes and change into it with a thought, or with, touching her earring. It's actually very similar to Frozen, and why Frozen was such a success. Disney likes to talk about Frozen being a success because they also got the boys market, but no, it's not that. I mean, if you go back to the original trailer, you'll see how much Olaf was featured in it, and they really pushed to have all these Olaf toys, but what do you see on clearance? You see Olaf. Yeah, he was funny, and Josh Gad was hilarious in the voice role, but yeah, it's not about Olaf. But Disney kind of kept pushing Olaf as the reason for Frozen's success, because there was this trend going on a few years ago that if you could just make girls' lines for boys and boys' lines for girls and somehow get boys and girls to all play with the same toys at the same time, you were going to have a mega hit. So saying that Frozen was a success because it got a princess line for boys, or the opposite is saying that something like Forces of Destiny was a success because it got girls playing with a boys property. And boys and girls are not the same. They're not equal. They do play differently. And that's really the issue as toy makers, having to come to that understanding that saying boys and girls are the same is a total fallacy. See, I can talk. Our brains function differently. Boys and girls have different ways that they process information, and this is why they play differently. If you have kids, you know this. Boys play aggressively. Girls, not as much. Girl play usually involves some form of dress-up, which takes time. You have to put on all the clothes. So, again, going back to the Frozen example, it was really pushed that this movie made so much money because it appealed to a bigger four-quadrant audience. Males, females, young, old, boys, and girls. Heck no. Frozen made money and was successful because of one moment in the entire film. This one. The one where Elsa instantly changes her clothes. It's the girl version of the He-Man transformation. One form, a peasant dress, into an elegant dress. Weak to strong. This is so aspirational for children. And yeah, it can be questionable how in the world ice powers allow you to create an instant dress, but that's a YouTube video for another time. The point is, as cool as Frozen was, Gem did it first. Gem was all about instant transformation of fashion. And that is so aspirational for girls. So aspirational. And it's such a shame that Barbie and the Rockers squashed her, because girls need aspirational characters to look up to daydream about. And Gem just tapped right into that. The ability to instantly change your clothes, that's how girls fantasize and play. They don't wrestle with each other. They have tea time and dress up and want to look elegant. And Gem could do that instantly. That's what made Gem such a different property and very unique. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do share it with others if you liked it. It helps the channel a ton. Leave your comments below. Always love to comment back and know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.